Hello, sweet friend. My name is Micah, and as you can tell from the setup, and I guess you've also seen the YouTube title, but I would like to do some ink swatching with you in this video because I have quite a few new inks right here, and also I was just in the mood for something cozy and relaxed, and I don't know, colors just bring me joy, and that is exactly what I needed. And so yeah, I want to share this with you. This is quite exciting, I think, because for one, I have 3 inks by the brand Taccia, which I've never tried before, so I'm really curious about those. And then I have 3 inks from the Diamine Inkvent from 2024, which were kindly sent to me by Chris from L&M. I'll have her socials linked below. And then we have 3 more randos, I guess. So yeah, let's see. And most of these I've already inked up in some pens, so I can share some writing samples with you. Okay, and I think I want to start out with the Taccia inks. And I was also really curious to try out a different ink swatching setup. And I might be making a big mess, so you have that to look forward to. And watching me get ink all over. But yeah, I usually use a brush, which is fine, a very neat and very quick way of getting ink on the page. But you can't really tell all the different nuances, like you get a very even mass tone with a brush, and I think it's quite nice to just explore all the different nuances. So yeah, we'll try that, and maybe I'll zoom you in a little bit. How about that? Yeah, I think you can see the ink a little bit better. This is Taccia Ume Murasaki, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but I think Ume means red and Murasaki means purple. And so this is a red purple, which already I can see that this ink gets its name honestly. So Taccia Ume is it an A? Yeah, Murasaki. And I'm sorry for my terrible. Is it Japanese? Yeah, I think that's Japanese. And so, yeah, this is really interesting. This definitely looks like a muddy purple, or a brown purple, I would even say, even though obviously the name says it's a red purple, but yeah, you could also say brown purple, in my opinion. Very interesting, very unique. I've definitely not seen any inks like that before, so that's kind of nice. I feel like a lot of people do these little twigs with leaves, which is kind of fun. Yeah, that is quite lovely. And then I am swatching this on the Midori cream paper, which I just find so pleasant. I'm definitely a cream girly. However, I also have here my Hobonichi cousin, and I forgot to fill in this week, so I figured we can just, with some leftover ink, very carefully do some swatching to see if the ink looks any different on the Hobonichi paper. I'm just a little concerned dumping so much ink that it's gonna bleed, because this year's paper is very unreliable. So I'm gonna show this dried at the end of the video. We can just do an overview then. And I inked this up on a new pen of mine. Ooh. This is my first Leonardo pen, and I think it is gorgeous. This colorway is called Angel Skin. Really pretty with rose gold trim, and I am going to do a separate video on this. But I want to try this pen out before I do a video, just to get a little bit more of a understanding of how I feel about this pen. But yeah, we have the Taccia in there. So this is and as you just saw, I am having a little bit of a hard start problem. And I don't know if that is because of the ink, if the ink is a little dry, or if it's the nib, or I don't know. Leonardo, and this is a Momento Zero with a medium nib, which is quite a juicy, I guess is a word to say. Medium nib. I was thinking that it would be a little bit more like a TWSBI medium, and so far I think this has a broader nib. And I can show you a writing sample of this setup. So I already used it in one of my TNs. So that's what that looks like on cream Midori paper, in a little bit more of a writing there. So yeah, the color is really unique and lovely. I quite like the look of that. Okay, so that was Taccia Ume Murasaki. Then I also got from Taccia Cha, which is brown, just a brown. Ooh. And so let's get a blob going for that one. Oh, and I'm sprinkling it all over the page. That's probably plenty there. And then going in with the plastic spoon. Ooh, yeah, that was plenty, wasn't it? But okay, that's fine. Although, obviously I feel a little bad because it's a little bit like a waste of ink, maybe, but really interesting. I hope you can see that on the screen. The Taccia almost has like a green black sheen to it. Really fascinating. Okay. So this is again Taccia, and this is Cha, or brown. Yeah, it's a really nice saturated brown, a red brown. I feel like so far, I mean, I love a good brown, but sometimes the browns, once they're in a pen or once they dry, they turn out to be a little underwhelming. They don't have quite the warmth and the oomph, but this is really lovely so far. Let's do some flowers here. Yeah, that is really nice. Of course, the kakimi. Oh, and I got it all over my finger. Oh, of course, of course. Can't do anything. Yeah, it's because I didn't clean up the grip section there. Okay, well, yeah, but so far this looks really saturated. But I was gonna say, with the Kakimori brass nib, of course, you have the advantage that it dumps a lot of ink. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like in a pen, because that's sometimes quite a different matter. And I inked this up in a Jinhao X159. So this is Jinhao's dupe for a Mont Blanc at a fraction of the cost. And of course it's a steel nib, so, you know, it's not quite the same, but I've had this for quite some time. I got this because I wanted to see how I felt about pens with more girth or a thicker grip section, just to see how that feels on my fingers and my hand if I get less hand fatigue. So this is a Jinhao X159, and this is a fine nib. And yeah, I mean, it looks lovely. It does lose a little bit of that depth and the saturated redness with, I guess, like a black sheen. It does lose that a little bit in the writing in a pen. I guess if you put that in a medium like the Leonardo there, then maybe that would be a bit different. I mean, it looks lovely. There's no question, and seems to be very well behaved. I just inked this up, so I haven't done any writing with it yet, but yeah. Well, that's quite cute. Yeah, no, that's lovely. Can you see that? Is my camera doing a good job of focusing? I'm not sure. I'll show you a little closer. That's the brown. See how much depth that has? Look at that. I mean, I also dumped quite a bit of ink there, but yeah. Very similar almost in the, like if you glance at it, these are very related. They're like cousins or something. But of course, especially once you put it in a pen and you write out sentences, then it's definitely different. The purpley, almost like pinkish Ume Murasaki, and then the more reddish, warm leaning cha or brown. Okay, and then I have one more Taccia ink, and that is the Tsuchi, which is golden wheat. Really lovely. I have a thing for these kinds of golden honey yellow inks, although I like them when they lean more into that, yeah, wheat or honey color rather than a straight up yellow. So, wow, that was again a lot of ink. So the system might need some fine tuning there. This, by the way, is the end of my travel brush pen. So that's what that is. But it has a nice metallic end there. So it, yeah, washes off. The ink washes off pretty nicely. And I know a lot of people do it with pipettes, but I didn't have any. I only had, what's it called? Not a needle. Goodness gracious, I don't know. And so I thought that might be a little cumbersome. But yeah, and I'm so sorry. I feel like my camera is not doing a good job focusing. This is Taccia Tsuchi, like that, or in English, golden brown. I don't know if oh, and of course, again, getting it all over my fingers because I haven't solved this problem yet, where the grip section is just too thick for these ink vials. But yeah, let's draw some cute little flowers, because of course I'm also interested with how it looks like for drawing things, even though none of these are waterproof. But I have tried the Ume Murasaki with some Tomoe markers, and you can definitely go over it with markers. It didn't bleed. And then put that on the Wawanichi paper. I'll just do that off camera. I'll show you once everything is dried, if that... so far they look very similar though. I don't feel like the cream of the Midori makes them look any different. Not substantially so anyway. And I inked that in my Pilot Custom 912, which has a soft medium fine nib, which I had ground to a 0.4 tip. So this is Pilot Custom, and I think there's a heritage in the name too. 912, and a soft fine medium. And this pen has been giving me some grief. Entirely my fault, because I left a waterproof ink in here while we were moving, because I thought I would be using it, and then I didn't for a couple weeks. And so ever since then, it's been really a dry writer. I've been doing a bunch of rounds of cleaning it with pen flush as well as with an ammonia water solution. So it's doing better, but yeah, we'll see. So this is a beautiful golden brown. It has, yeah, quite a bit of red in it and maybe some black sheen. But then, yeah, in the finer nib, it definitely looks like a good golden honey color with quite a bit of shading. So that's really fun. I've yet to figure out whether or not shading is something that I would enjoy when using inks for writing. So we'll see about that. Well, that is now a totally awful color on my finger there. And I might have really dumped quite a bit of ink there, but oh well. So that is it for the Taccia inks. So now I have the 3 Diamine Inkvent. Maybe we do that on the opposite page to keep them together. Diamine, I don't even know. Well, let's do some of these more quote-unquote rando ink samples that I ordered. This is Colorverse Sorae Fog. Sorae? Here, maybe I can show you. Sorae Fog, which is a really fun pink color. I thought it would be a little bit more muted and a little bit more pinkish rather than coral based on the Venice preview. But yeah, this is very similar to, I would say, what's it called? Oh my goodness, I'm doing too many things at the same time, I think. It's similar to J'ai Urbain Corail de Tropique. Excuse my French. Yeah, so it is definitely a almost fluorescent pink with, yeah, just a little bit of warmth in there. So definitely not a subtle blushy pink like I thought it would be. But that's okay. So yeah, I probably wouldn't use this to just Colorverse. Speaking of doing too many things at the same time. Ooh, and even though this is so watery, it's really hard to write with. It seems like a really thin consistency. I tend to not like that. I think that's quite weird to write with. Like the texture of it is just a little strange. Yeah, I would not use this kind of color to write my whole journal entry with, but it could be fun to just have maybe in a bigger nib to just do headers or do accent lettering, those kinds of things. I think that would be or could be quite fun because combined with a more subdued brown, that can be really lovely and can, yeah, really bring a fun pop into a page. And I don't have this inked up in a pen just yet. So we'll see if I do. I was just a little hesitant. I really don't tend to go for these like watery inks, and I'm just swatching that on the Hobonichi paper over there. Yeah, so that is Colorverse. And I'm not quite sure if oh, sorry, that was probably really loud. The Kakimori nib on the glass makes a nice ping sound. Yeah, I'm not sure if I've tried a lot of Colorverse inks. Let me know if you have, and are they always that watery, or does that just depend on the color? Then I ordered this Pilot Iroshizuku ink, Kiri Sami, which is a gray, because this is being discontinued. And they, at the time of me ordering the sample at least, they still had bottles at Vaness, which is where I like to order my ink samples and my ink bottles often. And so yeah, they still had, oh, this is way too much. This is what happens if I talk while, okay. Because I wanted to swirl that around so we can see all the different shadings. Okay, no, I took too much off. Wow. This is probably one of the most chaotic ink swatching videos you've seen, huh? I hope you're still getting something out of this. Okay, well, maybe we do go back to the trusty brush, but I think it's so fun to see all the different nuances. Oh well. Yeah, so they still had some leftover bottles at Vaness, and so I was like, I want to see if I would like a bottle, and I'm not sure yet. The cool thing about this gray is that it seems to have just the hint of like pink or warm undertones, which I think is quite nice. As you know, I'm more of a warm color person, and so if I was gonna go for a gray, I think I would want something with warm undertones. Pilot. Iroshizuku. I think there's 2 more colors that are being discontinued. Kiri. Sami? I'm not sure. And the reason why I wanted to try a gray ink is because sometimes I think it would be fun. And I think Simone has talked about that too recently. It would be fun to have a finer nibbed pen inked with a gray ink to almost make it look like a pencil. And I think this would be a contender for that. I can show you. I have it inked in my TWSBI Diamond Mini. And I think that has very much a pencil look to it. If I draw a little kitty cat. I have my TWSBI Diamond Mini is an extra fine nib, but I had it ground to a 0.3 nib, so even finer than the TWSBI extra fine. Yeah, quite cute. And again, I don't know if I find it cute enough to spend, I think it's still like about $23 or something like that for the bottle. So, but can you see what I mean with the warm undertones and the, almost like a pinkish thing going on? Yeah, it's quite pretty. So if you're in the market for a neutral, that might be something there that you can try out. And I think I forgot to swatch it on the Tomoe River paper in my... Okay, so those are those. Really fun. And I think I have to switch up my water, so I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna test the other inks on the opposite page there. All right, next up I have the 3 Diamine or Diamine? I think I like Diamine better, but I don't know if that's the way to go. Inkvent calendar inks. And like I said, Chris from L&M sent these to me and shared these with me, which is so kind, because we were talking about whether or not they were gonna release all of them later on as bottled, and so I had shared with her some of the colors that I was interested in, and so she said, well, why don't you give them a try, so you don't have to commit to anything. So yeah, really, really sweet, and she included a lovely note and some stickers. So yeah, she's a very kind and generous person. So yeah, I'll have her YouTube channel and everything linked below. So this is Diamine Inkvent. I thought this year's Inkvent looked very pretty overall. There was a bunch of colors that I thought were lovely. So I had a little bit of like, oh, I think I would have enjoyed that. But I'm just a little hesitant because you do end up, of course, with colors that you might not be so happy with. And, you know, 24 inks or 25. Do they do another one for the 25th? That's obviously quite a bit of ink to get all in at once. So yeah, I'll see how I feel about it when they come out with this year's for 2025. But this is a lovely, yeah, mauve maybe, very like soft purple, blue purple. But yeah, in this swatch right here, there is a little bit of a turquoise, maybe even. Really fascinating. And I don't have that in a pen just yet. And then let's not forget the Obonichi paper. Yeah, but that's lovely. Quite like that. Yeah, it almost has like a little bit of a soft pinkish tone to it too. Might be quite light once you put that in a pen, but definitely pleasant. I mean, it would still be legible, I think. Overall, it seems maybe a little bit dry, so that might contribute to the lines looking a little bit more muted. And then I think this one, just from seeing everybody unbox their Inkvents, was the one that I was most curious about, and that is the Wilted Rose. Oh no, I think I just, oh my god. I just have ink, oh my god, I didn't even notice. I have ink everywhere. Oh, did I just, yeah, I just did that, didn't I? I went into my swatch that wasn't dry yet. Oh my goodness. Well, goodness, yes, I have nowhere to go. So, and I think you're okay with me having ink on my hands, yeah? The struggle is real. I don't think I've ever made such a mess. And I don't know if I'm just a little all over the place. Oh, I'm just a little, yeah, not quite zen. But I'm having fun. I love exploring colors and seeing sort of what the undertones are, and that's something that I so enjoy about watercolors too, that it's never just straight up one color, and that you can create so many subtle shifts and things. Yeah, I found that quite beautiful. So yeah, this is Diamine Inkvent. And this is the Wilted Rose, and I think that's a very apt name. Because, well, the overall color, I would call that a brown, but it has these purpley, blushy, reddish undertones, and it does look like a wilted rose. And that's quite something. I think that's very, yeah, almost poetic. I don't want to be going too deep here, but yeah, it's between like a brown and a muted brownish red, if that makes sense. And maybe I can, does that work? I'm not sure. Pick that up for our Hobonichi swatch. And this I put in my Lamy Safari. And this has an F nib. And it looks a lot more pinkish, like a blushy pink, muted pink. So if you're into the neutral ink colors, then this is probably right up your alley. So Lamy Safari. And that is an F nib. Yeah, that's so soft and blushy. Let's draw a cat with that, see what that looks like. Face and eyes. Some whiskers. Yeah, that is very sweet. If you want something to also just be sitting a bit in the background. But I would still classify that as readable. Like, it's light, but readable. And then, of course, if you went with maybe with a nib that was a little bit more gushy or bigger than a fine, then you probably get more of that. Instead of that pinkish, you would probably get more of that brown. But that is a fascinating, to me personally, that is a fascinating ink. And honestly, I did some very brief swatching when I first got these samples. And I did them with a brush. And like I said, you get more of the kind of straight up mass tones. And at first I thought the Taccia Ume Murasaki and the Wilted Rose looked really similar. And now I just don't see that anymore. One, because of the getting the more of the variety in the actual swatch, but then also having put it in a pen, that changes so much, doesn't it? Because here you get that pinkish tone of the Wilted Rose, and then you get more of the, yeah, the purple in the Ume Murasaki. And again, I'm very sorry for mispronouncing things if I do. But yeah, very fascinating. In general, there's a little bit of a, like quite a bit of similarity going on. Even the Ume Murasaki and the Potpurri might have similarities going on. But I think that's quite fun when I pick out ink samples to order. I like having inks that almost look like they could be siblings or they could be cousins, because that's how you get the nuance of a color. If you get something that is almost the same, and maybe some people find that a bit boring, because then when you ink it up, you don't get like a, oh, today I want to write with a blue, and tomorrow I want to write with an orange, you know, that kind of thing. Look at that. That is such a sweet color. This is the Lullaby from the Inkvent. And again, such an apt name. But yeah, I think it's quite fun to also do these more, well, I don't know if I want to say focused ink sample runs, but yeah. Everything is fun. Whatever way you want to go is all right, but yeah, that is the most saturated of all of them, I would say. This is called Lullaby. Almost like a pastel-y purple, or a pastel-y fuchsia even, maybe. I mean, it's obviously not as direct as a straight-up fuchsia. Maybe even a little cooler than a fuchsia might be. And then, yeah, just more of a pastel. That is very sweet. Yeah, I would say that's a sweet color. How about you? Do you feel like that is an apt response? And this again might be a little on the dry side. Dry yet watery. And I don't have that in a pen right now. But yeah, very sweet. Okay, I need to stop saying sweet. Oh, and then can't forget my Hobonichi swatches, which is such fascinating content to you because you don't see them just yet. But I'll include clips at the end there once it's all dry. But yeah, very fun. Not necessarily something I usually go for, but still very cute. And again, might be a little light depending on what kind of pen you put that in. And I would say on camera right now, it comes off a little bit more saturated than it is in real life. In real life, it's a little bit more leaning towards the blue. Has more of a blue cast to it than what it is on camera. Yeah, so those are the 3 Diamine samples that I was really curious in. And yeah, I'm excited to try writing with the Wilted Rose. I think that's such a sweet color too for February and the whole like Valentine's love theme. So yeah, I'll see how I feel about the lightness of it. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. Okay, and then last but not least, I ordered this Akkerman ink because I've never tried anything from that brand, and when looking at reviews, everybody kept saying how reliable these things are, so I was interested. And so this is from the series they're doing called Dutch Masters. So they've taken Dutch paintings and pulled out a couple colors from those paintings. So this is called, oh boy, Lievens Kardinal Paars. And you wouldn't, just from me pronouncing that, wouldn't believe that I actually grew up very close to the Netherlands. But yeah, I don't speak Dutch, so I'm sorry. But yeah, as you can also probably tell, I was really on a purple kick. So yeah. And this looked really interesting. And so this is more of a plummy aubergine purple. Compared to the more, well, this one being more pastel-y, and then the Potpurri having a little bit more warmth in it. And then the Ume Murasaki too, obviously. So this is a little bit more on the colder side. So this is Akkerman. And then is it men? Yeah, with one N. Which is interesting. And this is Dutch Masters. And this very long name. Have you tried any Akkerman inks? How do you like them? I know that their ink bottles are very interesting, but it seem like they invented bottle designs that make it easier to fill up your pens. Kardinal. Paars. Yeah, I really like that shade of purple. I think my sister would really like this ink. She's not into fountain pens, but I think this would be a color that she would be... If she got into fountain pens, this is one of the ones that I would recommend for her. Yeah, she's more of the cool-toned girly, and I'm more of a warm-toned girly. Like, she prefers silvers and purples, and I'm more the... Sorry, I just dropped my pen. I'm hopefully having muted that, because that was very loud. I was just about to say that it's very interesting, but my sister's more into the cool tones, like silvers and purples and blues and grays, and I'm more gold-toned and warm browns and oranges, and yeah, we're sort of opposite ends there. And this ink I have put in one of my TWSBIs. I think this one, yeah. This is a TWSBI Eco with fine nib. So this is TWSBI. Eco with a fine nib. And so far, I can definitely say this seems to be, yeah, a very well-behaved ink. Yeah. Not a lot of shading or anything super interesting going on there, but, you know, sometimes that's maybe more of what you want, is the really reliable, good writer. And, you know, shading can also be a little bit distracting, maybe. Again, I'm really interested in seeing how I feel about some of the more, like, for example, the golden brown. That seems to be quite a shader. How I feel about that when drawing. Because it, again, might be just a little bit distracting. But we'll see. Yeah, so those are the ink swatches. And so I'm gonna let these dry also on the Hobonichi paper. And then I'll be back with some more close-ups. I think they're all pretty much dry. Yeah, very pretty. So here's the Ume Murasaki with that beautiful duality of the pink purple, but also with that brown. It's almost like sometimes I look at it and I can't decide whether it's a purple or a brown. It's really fascinating. And then the Taccia brown. Really gorgeous red, deeply saturated with, I don't know if it has a black sheen or if I just put so much ink on there. And as you can see, I accidentally smudged it with my hand. And here is it in the writing sample. As you can tell, in the fine nib of the Jinhao, it does lose a little bit of that, like, bam redness, but still a very gorgeous brown and definitely has a good saturation to it. Then the golden brown by Taccia, and yeah, this swatch definitely is a big fail because I put so much on there, so it's now almost entirely black, but hopefully you can tell that we got, yeah, again, very good saturation. And then the finer you go in the nib, you can probably get more of that yellow honey tone. And then if you use broader nibs, you might get some more of that almost leaning into an orange where the ink pools, as you can see there in that little doodle. So yeah, very fascinating. And then, yeah, smudged this one as well. But this is the Colorverse Sorae Fog, which, again, very corally. It's even more bright and reddish in real life than it shows up on camera. So yeah, this the way you see it in camera now, the soft pinkish tones is what I expected them to be. In real life, it is a lot more coral leaning. Yeah, but could still be fun if you use it as an accent color. And then the Pilot Iroshizuku Kiri, and you can definitely tell here in that big pool here how it has like a pink rim to it, and that's probably how it gets sort of that slightly warm tone to it. Really lovely, and I do think that it gets that pencil look when you put it in a fine nibbed pen. So I'll be eager to play around with that. Now getting to the Diamine inks, again, that Potpurri, so fun because there's all kinds of different things going on, very soft color. And then the Wilted Rose, which, again, a combination of brown and pink, which apparently once you put it in a pen, gets a really blushy look to it. That can be quite sweet. Lullaby, again, on camera it looks a little bit brighter. In real life it's a bit more subdued, a little bit more violet, but definitely a pastel color in my opinion, at least in real life. It's a little darker. And then the Akkerman, which is a real plummy purple. Again, a little bit more subdued and darker in real life. And there might be a little bit of black sheening going on, but that might also be, again, of just using too much ink in the swatch. So yeah, I'm not quite certain if that is accurate, but yeah, so pretty. And I do think they pretty much look comparable on Hobonichi paper, but yeah, just giving you a quick look on that. And of course, with the whiteness, or the whiteness of the Tomoe River paper, obviously some of them look less warm, but overall I think the mass tones are very comparable. But yeah, in the comments, let me know which one of these was your favorite, or is there something that you're interested to try out as well, or do you know of any colors that I might find interesting? And yeah, so happy to have shared this time with you, albeit a bit chaotic, and my fingers now look a total mess, but that's fine. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Until next time, happy journaling.